Hello and welcome to the Quarterly Romance Book Club. I'm joined today, always, by Chloe from the Brunette Bibliophile. This quarter, which is our third quarter, yes, I think,
Yes.
we read The Rewind by Allison Winn Scotch, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today. First, we're going to kind of jump into initial thoughts, and then we will jump into spoiler territory. So, Chloe, want to go ahead and just further introduce yourself, but then tell us a little bit about what you thought about the rewind.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chloe. I run the YouTube channel Brunette Bibliophile. You can find me on there and other various social medias under Brunette Bibliophile or Brunette Biblio. The Rewind. I gave this one 4 stars. I didn't really go in with many expectations, if any. I know that you read it before me, so I did get a little bit of your thoughts before I picked it up. But overall, I thought it was a good romance. I gave it 4 stars. I don't really have any like critiques at the moment, unless I think of something later. But overall, I enjoyed it. I think it did kind of go in a little bit of a different direction than you and I were expecting, because it kind of sounds like there's time travel involved. But that'll be a discussion for later. But overall, I give it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. That's about it.
So I actually gave this 5 stars. I did think there was going to be time travel involved, but which didn't end up being the case. And I don't know what I was expecting to happen, but it definitely went in a different direction. So like the whole thing, I felt like I was surprised by the entire thing. And even towards the end, I was like, how is this going to wrap up? Because I just don't, like, I couldn't see it at all. But it had me engaged the whole time. I loved how real their hatred felt, because I feel like a lot of times you hear, this story is hate to love, but it doesn't feel like there's that much dislike. Like it's almost immediately clear from the beginning of the story that they both have a thing for each other that they're not admitting to. But in this one, it was a very visceral reaction of them like not being able to stand each other, and the fact that we didn't know why is what kept me turning the pages. So I was very intrigued and engaged by this entire story, and it made me realize that I guess I like second chance romance. So we can go ahead and we can jump into spoilers from there. I don't know if there's a specific place you want to start.
I mean, my thing is like, how did they not remember anything? Like, I don't get schwacked often, but like, how can you be so plastered that you don't remember anything?
Well, I feel like the explanation was like, okay, maybe I can buy this, because it wasn't just that they had both been drinking. It was the fact that they had both been drinking, but then he had taken, like, I think anti-anxiety medication, because she was going to be around, and he was just like, oh, I don't know if I can handle this situation. So he was mixing alcohol with something else. So that there throws in, more than just like, oh, I can't remember because I'm drunk. And then she had a concussion. So those were, like, I guess the elements they threw in there to further explain why the two of them couldn't remember what the hell had happened. And for the most part,
Why they were absolutely plastered.
I was able to buy it. But like, also Frankie was remembering things, but so vaguely that she wasn't she wasn't confident in what she was remembering. So she was looking for more clues to figure it out, and she was being secretive about what she knew. So it kind of felt like she was remembering less than she actually was at times. But that whole thing was wild. But I loved every aspect of that, from like the moment they woke up. It was like, how the hell did they end up in bed together?
Exactly. I kind of want to jump forward a little bit here just for a brief thought that I had. Um, when she finds out that she's pregnant, that gave me such a vivid, like, not memory, I guess, or maybe it is a memory, going back to Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, because the vibes were kind of similar in that sense. And also, both of like the main female characters had not necessarily an abnormal job, but I feel like not one that you read about very often. I mean, like in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, she made video games, and this she's a music
Music.
manager or a music producer.
I think she's like an artist manager. I think.
Okay, but the vibes were all similar right there.
I can see that. Speaking of like their jobs, I really liked that aspect of it because again, like you said, I don't think you see it too often. I don't read many books about female musicians or in the music industry or whatever. So I really liked that aspect of it.
Yeah, and did you listen to the audiobook or read with your eyeballs?
I did both.
Okay, I solely listened to the audiobook. First of all, we both really enjoyed Julia Whalen, so I loved that. But I don't know who this narrator is, but he sounds exactly like Chris Evans. I don't know who he is. I don't know if it was part of the fact that I had the audiobook sped up, but that's who it was.
Let me see the rewind. McLeod Andrews. I don't know if it was the fact that his name was Ezra, but I was like, wait, did this person narrate like Illuminae? So I went like looking for it to see, and he didn't, but it might have just been the name that made me make that connection.
McLeod, aka Chris Evans.
That's so funny.
That was just who it was the entire time.
What did you think about how much they disliked each other? Like, did you feel like it was very believable? Were you like, I don't know, I guess I don't feel like, do I know that many people that hate each other like that? I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't not believable. It was more of like it left you wanting more to know why they hate each other to this like level. Excuse me. And it definitely made me want to dive in more to their history, because I think it's in the synopsis that they used to be together.
Did you think
it
it
says
was
two
Go
exes.
ahead. Yeah.
It says two exes, college sweethearts.
Because I remember texting you at some point, I was like, I don't see how these two people are going to get together. Like, because I was probably like 85%, maybe 90% through the book. And I was like, how the hell are they going to wrap this up? Because at that point, it was like they had already spent so much time together. Like, they started hating each other, but then the more time that they spent together, they were both just so still angry. They were still carrying so much like trauma that it was just like ramping up as the story was going along. So I was just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you're collectively trauma bonding over this plastered experience and both not knowing how you ended up there, I mean, I guess you form a bond. But I mean, like, I don't know. He was freaking out a lot of the time. So, yeah. I don't know.
Wait, so what was the verdict? Did they sleep together or did they not sleep together? Because it seemed like it was going back and forth.
I don't think they did or they
didn't. Okay, I didn't think they did either. But the girl whose room they were in was like, I found condoms under my bed. So she was very.
I think that was the intent, and I think they just. I think they passed out. I think that was
Oh.
the intent, and then that intent did not happen.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that. I didn't. That's funny. I was just like, wait, what is the truth here? What really happened? Oh my god.
I kind of want to jump forward again, kind of, and talk about Mimi because red flags all over the place.
Oh my
First of all,
god.
first of all, first of all, it's a stupid name. I think she sounds like that's a grandma name.
I think of Drew Carey whenever I hear that name. Because there was a Mimi character on there.
I think of a grandma. There was a skit that I watched. I don't know if it was like this brand company, whatever. I can't remember. They specialize in like Southern videos, but it was like picking out your grandma name, and they were at like a jewelry store, and he would like present like a necklace or whatever, and be like, "Can I present the Mima?" or like or whatever, and Mimi,
right?
and Mimi was one of them, so that's why I'm like, it's the grandma name.
Crap, I just had a question and it just like left my mind. Oh, what were you expecting to happen with Mimi? You were saying red flags everywhere. So where did you think that was going to go? Or did it go the way you expected?
I thought she purposely didn't get on the plane because she didn't want to like. Well, okay. I was thinking she didn't get on the plane because she didn't want to marry him, but she didn't know that he was proposing to her. So I was like, maybe she doesn't want to be together anymore.
I feel like because they were talking so much about her being part of that dating thing, at some point I had a feeling that she was going to come out and be like, "Oh, those weren't, or our results weren't real." And that's totally what happened. And he was just like, "Damn, that sucks." Did that happen in another book? I feel like that was like, it feels similar to something.
You're thinking of the soulmate equation.
I think so, yeah. So
can we talk about how she tried to? So her secret was that she was like a serial shoplifter. But can we talk about how she tried to justify it? and him who studied to be a lawyer was like, we can look past this. No, we can't. We cannot look past serial shoplifting.
Oh my god. The fact that his friend didn't tell him, I don't know. I mean, like, I get it. Like, that's such an awkward thing to bring up. And how do you, I don't know.
No.
Would you have told your friend? Would you have been like, listen, I was in Target?
Yes, there's some shit you need to know. But like, the fact that he was like, we can look past. No, you cannot look. You are studying to be a lawyer, and yet the person you want to marry is a serial shoplifter. Which also, the fact that she only got like a slap on the wrist and was like, you can't come to the store for a year. Like, what?
Yeah, but she spent the night in jail, didn't she?
Also,
that's why she couldn't come. That's why she didn't get on the plane.
No. Well, I don't think she spent the night in jail. I think she got delayed. Stuck dealing with all the like paperwork and the you can't come for Which the fact that it was like Kmart, and I'm just like thinking back to like Kmart with like the little Caesars and everything that was right by my house.
But I mean, that was just one lie on top of many.
It was a biggie.
Her hiding that. But ultimately, that's not even why he let her go. He let her. I think he let her go because she had faked them being like the perfect match.
I thought what?
Because you just finished saying that he was willing to overlook her shoplifting. So at the end of the day, Like, he was willing to, like, work through whatever her shoplifting issue was, but then when he found out that she
I don't
lied
think
about them being a perfect match.
I don't remember that being a part of it.
You
Now
don't
I'm
remember that
confused.
happening?
No.
No, it definitely
Hold
happened.
on. Let's see.
Let me see, where the hell would that be? Da-da. Wait.
Okay, I'm at the spot where he proposed to Frankie originally. Now I'm trying to find.
Okay, so it's on page 301.
Oh.
Okay, so on page 301, he says, Mimi, I think maybe we were a perfect match on paper, but, and she interrupted him. Ezra, you knew that wasn't real, right? What? The questionnaire, you knew that wasn't real. And he's like, what? And she's like, none of that is real. The questions are bullshit. The matchmaking is bullshit. It's all just for an algorithm. We just want people to sign up, and maybe some of them will have a few decent dates and get laid.
Wait, does that mean were her answers on the questionnaire fake then? Because I mean, I feel like his were genuine.
Yeah, but I think what she's saying is the test itself was just a bunch of bullshit. That it never really meant anything. That was just like, a way to get people interested. And then so he's like, but you trotted me out. You told everyone that we were a perfect example. I hated all of that, and you did it anyway. So, like, I felt like that was the thing that he was like, okay, no. It's like, I can't do this now. Because he was banking on, like, that was the biggest thing. Like, he was like, oh, we're perfect for each other. We're perfect for each other. We're perfect for each other. So he kept overlooking certain things. He kept overlooking the fact that she was constantly taking him to these events that he didn't want to be at. He was overlooking the fact that she was unwilling to accept that he played poker, like, so there was just a lot of stuff. And then when that came out, I feel like that was just the final lie. I'm surprised you missed that, because, like, I was waiting for that to happen. I was really expecting. I was like, she's going to say that it wasn't real, and he's going to realize he didn't care about her as much as he thought he did.
Are you going to read other stuff from this author?
I want to say yes. I feel like she did their she just did their relationship so well. Like, also, like, Frankie had just a lot of trauma dealing with her parents and wanting to be a musician, and how their marriage had impacted her. And then Ezra was always there for his mom, which obviously caused him to be somewhat of a people pleaser. I don't know. I just feel like she did their childhood trauma well, and how they interacted with each other. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's just what happens in real life. People are attracted to each other because of their trauma, and you have to find someone willing to work through their childhood trauma with you. And if you don't, you have like a big blow up like they did. But, they were given a second chance, and they decided to work on their shit. Although Ezra was doing that.
I'm looking at all the other stuff she's written.
Is it a lot?
I mean, it's like more than 5. I'm looking. She's got a release next year coming out.
I think what was also interesting,
I feel like I'll read the one next year,
was that there wasn't really any smut. There was no smut in the book. There was nothing
Mhm.
really. Because I feel like a lot of times when I read romance, that's the part that I'm looking forward to. Like I'm looking forward to them getting together and banging, and like that wasn't the thing here. That wasn't, that wasn't. It was like, how are these people going to even stay in the same room together?
Which is surprising from you though, because you're always telling me how particular you are about the sex scenes.
And I am, and that's like the sex scenes specifically, but I'm still, when I read a romance, I'm waiting for them to fall in love. I'm waiting for them to get together. So let me see with the discussion questions here. So it says Frankie and Ezra broke up a decade ago and haven't spoken since. In your experience, is it possible to forgive and forget? And do you think that second chances at love ever work out?
I mean, I've only ever read them, so I like even Forget Me Not is a second chance romance. So,
That's true.
and
Well,
we
that's
just
why I
started it
picked it up,
today.
because like when I read the rewind, I was like, do I like this? I think I like this. So then I started looking up other second chance romances, and I saw that Forget Me Not was one of them, and so I bought the book, even though I had the audiobook, but I went out and I
That's
bought
not
the
even
book.
that's this isn't even the first second chance romance that you've read though. Happy Place you read a couple of weeks ago, and that's
Yes,
second
and
chance
I
too.
loved it, but that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like I just recently discovered that I like it, because I can't think of
I
too
bet
many
I
that
can
I've
go
read
back on
before that.
everything. I feel like if I go back and like look at like everything that you and I have read, I'm like I bet I'd find even more from
Mhm.
before, and we wouldn't even realize it.
Possibly. But I feel like my relationship was a second chance romance. Um because I was going to school here and I was with John, and then when I was finished with school, I was ready to move back to New York, and we broke up. We were broken up for a year. Um like we were kind of still talking because we had to communicate for different reasons. I had left him my car, like, so it was like complicated, but we were definitely broken up, and I didn't plan on getting back together with him, but like things happened during that year that we were apart that I guess made me fall in love with him all over again, and then we ended up getting married. So
You're like, bye now, hi now.
um let's see. Frankie felt confined by her childhood and her musical gift, which was like an interesting um, issue to give a character, I thought. At what point do adults have to take responsibility for their current behaviors and not just point fingers at their past? Does Frankie do a good job of this? And was there a particular scene where you really rooted for her? So, yes,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Adults need to take um, responsibility. And
yes, and I think after everything with her parents, I feel like she kind of spun it around to do something that she wanted to do after all of the issues with her parents. Does that make sense?
mhm. But I feel like she was running from that part of her. Like she didn't want to share it with anyone. She was
Hmm.
like very musically talented and did not want to, because whatever kind of pressure that her parents had put on her, um, she no longer wanted to follow through with that, even though she was so incredibly talented. And then,
Hmm.
when things happened and she found out she was pregnant, and she tried to talk to Ezra about it, and he was like, yes, let's get together, let's have a family. And she just felt like, this is not what I want at all, and you're not even listening to
Panicked.
me. Yep. And
Okay.
I kind of feel like she was pretty bitchy throughout the whole book. um and so I don't know if I rooted for her until like the very end, until she like left him that gift. And I think that was in the epilogue, where she was like, I left you
Hmm.
something. Because she was finally, after everything, able and willing to share that piece of her with him.
Yeah.
Although I was also rooting for her when she was like, I don't think I want to get married, but I might be willing to pop out a kid and have a dog. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
at least you know what
It's
you
all
want.
about attainable goals.
But Ezra, I think Ezra acknowledged that he had some issues going on and he addressed them way sooner than she did. Not that anybody is on the same timeline, but I think he just started doing that work a lot earlier than she did.
Yeah.
Uh, so Ezra
He
thinks
knew
he's the
what he wanted.
perfect. He did know what he wanted. He did. I do. What do you think about him and like playing poker? I don't know why, but I thought that was hot.
Um, I mean, I didn't think about it that way really, but I mean, you know,
I think it
was
was
he
the
always
fact that
counting
he was.
cards when he was playing poker?
It sounded like it. It sounded like it. So I think what was hot about it was that he seemed like such a straight and narrow person, and I guess that showed him bending the rules, or maybe breaking them entirely. And he seemed to be able to justify that to himself in some way. And for whatever reason, just him being able to color outside of the lines in that one specific area, I thought was attractive.
You're like, that is his flaw, and I love it.
Right. I mean, it's not shoplifting. Um, but like also that he was like, I guess that good at something. Is card counting like, I mean, like there has to be some kind of a skill, right? Like even though technically it's cheating,
I
I
mean,
think.
he also, yes. I mean, he also like he did that like tech thing and sold it to like Yahoo or whatever. I can't even remember what it was. So he has other skills that are not in the cheaty variety.
In the cheaty variety. But I think it was like, I think they explained that he was playing poker and liked it so much that he ended up kind of developing that skill, I think, is how they said it. And just,
It
I don't know. I think anyone who commits
was an
that kind of time to
accidental cheat.
anything. Um, all right, so Ezra thinks he's a perfect boyfriend because he tries not to challenge Mimi and simply makes her life easier in all respects. Do you see this as the behavior of a perfect partner? If not, how is he dooming himself to repeat the mistakes of his past? And what do you think were his best qualities as a boyfriend?
Can you
Um,
repeat the first part of the question?
yeah, he thinks he's the perfect boyfriend because he tries not to challenge Mimi and simply does everything to make her life easier. So do you see that as the behavior of a perfect partner? Is the first aspect of it.
No.
I
I
agree
don't.
with you, but it's no. I just got
Yeah,
major
but
deja
my
vu.
explanation's kind of all over the place.
What's
You
your
got
what's
what?
your explanation? I just got deja vu.
Oh.
But okay,
Okay,
so
so
what's your explanation?
I don't think he's dooming himself necessarily, but I don't think he should think he's perfect at everything or be a perfect boyfriend just because he wants to make everything easier for her because sometimes that's just not how it works. I don't know how to explain that. I don't think he's dooming himself though, but I think there needs to be a little bit of there it's a give and a take, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a perfect partner at all because I want someone who is going to be there and do things with me, but also introduce me to new things and also challenge me. So like someone who's just going to do what I say all the time without any input is not fun.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so what do you think were his best qualities as a boyfriend? I mean, I
I
feel like
mean,
it was his willingness to um Like he didn't have to do everything, but his willingness to do so much, um, I think, is a good quality. He just has to establish boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, like, he knows what he wants, and that's good. Um, but at the same time, it, well, okay. What was the question again? What did you ask me again?
What do you think were his best qualities as a boyfriend?
Oh, okay, so he knows what he wants, and that's good. So he knows what he's looking for, and he I don't know how to answer this. He thinks he's the best boyfriend because of XYZ and all that, but it's not really like a best quality. He knows that he wants to take care of somebody. That's a good quality, I guess. He wants to take care of somebody. I don't really know how to answer this question.
I think he's like a good listener and like a good partner. Um, because like him and uh Frankie used to do so much together. They used to hang out together. They used to watch TV together. Like they used to just enjoy spending time together. It wasn't
Mhm.
until they just weren't communicating their exact wants that things started to like fall apart for them. Um, but but I think that's just an example of what happens when you get so enmeshed in someone else. Like he couldn't fathom that she didn't want to have a baby at that time. Um,
Mhm.
like he was ready to like just let go of all of their plans for the future to focus on that, and didn't really ask her what she wanted. But I think overall Ezra is a good dude. I like that he's mostly honest. um because I feel like that's an important quality. um and he does have like a caretaker aspects to him, which I think can be valued as well. Um, music plays a
Mhm.
pivotal role in the book, especially for Frankie. Has music defined any important moments of your own life? If so, which songs, which bands?
I mean, it hasn't really defined my life so much as taken over my life. I think we're all on the Swifty train right now. I'm just saying,
That's
but
funny
also
because
21 Pilots. I like that too.
what about Smash Mouth?
Smash Mouth has not defined my life so much as Shrek has defined my life. let's bring that back. There's only like two Smash Mouth songs. Both of them are related to the Shrek franchise. My two absolute, like, I will always try and get the album and see them when they come to town is Taylor Swift and 21 Pilots. That's it.
I
I mean,
know
I listen to other people too, but those are my mains.
uh, the Halo soundtrack music has definitely played a large role in my life, just because that's how I met John. So we were constantly hearing that music as we were getting to know each other and interacting with each other. And then, of course, I had that music at my wedding, and like I will never hear the Halo theme song and not think of John. So, um, and yes, I would say it does transport me back to moments, either playing the game or walking down the aisle or whatever the case is. So, um, what role and influence do Frankie and Ezra's friends have in their relationship and their lives? Did you wish that Gregory had told Ezra what happened with Mimi at Kmart sooner? Would you have changed anything?
Yes.
I
I
loved
mean,
Gregory.
yes, he definitely but he should have said something. Think about how
Um,
much time this man wasted with Mimi because she's a serial shoplifter.
but like, so Gregory definitely didn't tell him? Like, it was Mimi that told him, or did Mimi confirm it?
I think Mimi confirmed it.
Okay. because I feel like it wouldn't have mattered. I feel like, because even when Gregory told him the first time, he was kind of like, we can get through this. So had he told him even sooner, I feel like this Ezra would have had the same reaction, like taken aback but willing to work through it, because obviously this was the woman he was going to marry, so like they could get over it.
I studied the law, but I don't care that you broke it. It's fine. Okay, well, kind of going back to the first part of that question, they're there for a friend's wedding, so
right.
obviously they've managed to be friends for this long. So kind of indirectly, because they came to a friend's wedding, the friends kind of influenced some stuff that happened indirectly, solely by getting married.
We didn't talk much about that, but like I loved that aspect of it. I loved that there was this scavenger hunt that they were going through, and that was like what they had done while they were drunk, which is also probably why it was so hard for them to remember, because all the shit they were doing was kind of out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? It's not like they were like, yeah, we were just hanging out our college bar and playing beer pong. Like they were all over the place with the shit that they were doing. But I feel like Gregory had the biggest presence in the book. Is that accurate to say? Like I feel like he was just, yeah. And I really liked him as a character. I thought he was funny and he was a cool friend. I had wished that there was more about the friends. Like you kind of just was Layla the other one?
That would be way too many characters though.
But I feel like the Happy Place did it. Like there was, the friends were definitely more present. And maybe because I had just read that recently,
I was gonna say, they were on. I was gonna be like, they were on vacation together, but I'm like, well, they were on vacation together here too. So kind of.
Let's see. Both Ezra and Frankie hurt each other in different ways back in college before their breakup. If you could offer them each one specific word of advice to prevent their implosion, what would it be? And do you hold one of them more accountable than the other? I'm going to say yes to that last question.
Don't expect her to get married right out of college just because she's pregnant. I get it. It was the late 80s, but still.
I do think I blame Frankie more. Like, I get where Ezra went wrong and why she was so hurt by his reaction, or, but I think there's obviously miscommunication happening here, which I know is like a hated trope for a lot of people, but they could have talked about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, had she taken the time to talk to him about it, I think they could have gotten through it and not spent 10 years hating each other. If she had just been like,
yeah,
listen.
But then would it have been a second chance romance?
No, I guess not. But it would have been like, a first chance.
Then there could have been no romance.
Do you think one of them is more accountable than the other, or do you think they were both being stupid?
I think there's stupidity on both ends. He shouldn't expect that much just because he has his whole life planned out. I can't say she shouldn't be a commitment phobe, but she shouldn't, I don't know. Maybe she exploded a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, she had an issue being vulnerable. And so that was kind of what prevented her from sharing how she was feeling in that moment.
And that's okay.
It says, this book is set in the 80s and 90s. What is it about these eras that feels so nostalgic? For me, it's because that's when I was growing up. Me. I was a teenager in the 90s, and like teenagers are just like that's your first everything when everything is happening. Like everything is memorable because it's like the first thing or the most painful thing, or like all the growing pains are happening when you're a teenager. And I feel like that's what makes it nostalgic for me, is just those very, very intense feelings and relationships and mistakes. Because I feel like mistakes are memorable too, because those things stick with you when it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't go to sleep. um, even though Ezra and Frankie hurt each other in their own ways, they also loved each other. What were your favorite scenes or moments when they showed the other person how much they cared?
When he was having his anxiety attack, and she
Oh,
was
she
like,
was
"Okay, this is what we're gonna do."
definitely. I also liked how I think she was the one that had kind of encouraged him to go to the bar to play poker. Part of it
Probably.
was that she couldn't believe, like she was shocked to hear it, but it was something that he had given up, and she didn't know all this at the time, but I liked that she was just like, come on, let's go do this thing. I also liked that whole run bit that was throughout the whole book. I don't know why, but I loved that aspect of it. It felt so random, but also like so intimate, because it was like something just between the two of them, that wherever they were, if she was like run, they would just start running. And the fact that they were doing that while they were drunk. And I sent you that meme. I was like, every time that word appeared, that's what I was hearing in my head. um he also, like, I think he was trying to take care of her when she hurt herself. Like he was being
I think they were
sweet,
both,
even though,
yeah, both
yeah.
trying to take care of each other. No, like a no man left behind.
um let's see. Ezra and Frankie are quite different from each other. What works best in a relationship? When you're so different that you balance each other out, or when you're quite alike and often see eye to eye? I feel
I
like
don't
I
know. Are
feel like
you and
it's
John?
both. Like
I mean,
you
like
want
Will and I,
okay.
we both have things that we enjoy similarly, but also things that are different. I don't know how to answer this question.
I feel like you want a combination of both, because it's your differences that give you something to like talk about, because if you're both doing the same shit all the time, it's just not interesting. But also you don't want to be so different that you're constantly fighting over things. And there are certain things that I'm just like so thankful that John and I agree on, like um our thoughts on religion and our thoughts on politics. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
there are families and couples that don't and live their lives. But I can't even fathom, and I'm thankful every day that those are two things that we don't have to argue about, that we don't
You're like,
deviate on.
that's the baseline.
Yeah. So,
You're like, it can only go up from here.
like, I think John and I have a lot of things in common, but if you asked him, he would say that we don't, which is hilarious to me. But um all right, so the scavenger hunt is obviously pivotal for both Ezra and Frankie. When something that started out in good fun leads to more serious revelations, has this ever happened to you in your own life? I don't know. I mean,
I'm not sure.
unless
That's a
we can
deep
say
question to be
it is.
asking.
It is. I mean, I guess I can compare it to the fact that like I fell in love and found my husband while playing video games. Um, like we were just
You're
there
like,
kind of playing games, and then it turned into
you're like,
more.
you're like, I sat down for a casual afternoon of gaming, and I ended up with a husband.
Let's see. And the last question. that's in here says Frankie openly admits that she's quite competitive. Does this serve her well, or is it a detriment? Do you consider yourself competitive, and did you relate more to Frankie or Ezra? I feel like I related to both of
I
them in
I
different
think
ways.
I feel like her being competitive was an issue when they were trying to solve like what happened, and they like it wasn't a competition, but it was like they were both racing to find out what happened.
She like I feel like a little bit of her competitiveness was also like wanting to make the decisions and wanting to choose what was happening. Like I think it was when they were going back to the bar and they got in trouble because she broke the glass to get inside.
Mm-hmm.
Um I don't know, there was just so many moments where he was like, "Frankie, chill. Frankie, let me do the talking. Frankie, like," and she didn't. She just like she didn't listen to
Like,
anything. She
no.
wanted to do her own thing every time, and it was always, um, just something impulsive or slightly random. So like I see her as more of like an impulsive creative person, where Ezra was more like by the book, more loyal. Um, and so I think there's like things about each of them that I relate to. Like I definitely relate to the fact that Ezra was so kind, he was a good listener, but also that he um, was very adamant about living in truth and having a partner who was honest with him, even though she wasn't. But he thought she was. So and then I liked Frankie's creativity, and she was funny. um
Mm-hmm.
like they would get into it, but I still thought she had a sense of humor, and she was funny when she wasn't being so jabby with her comments. Because a lot of the
Yeah.
things that she was saying was to like get under his skin, which is mean, I think. uh but she still felt wounded and hurt, so I can see why she was behaving like that. um what did you think was going to happen? I don't remember who her friend was, because she didn't even want to be in this wedding, but she felt like she had to. Frankie felt like she had to because of whatever her friend had done for her while she was in college.
Mm-hmm.
So as we were going through the story, what did you think that thing was going to be? Like, were you making any guesses?
What do you mean?
The bride had done something for Frankie that Frankie felt indebted to her for, and that was why she was
Did they
coming to
not
the wedding.
say what it was?
Yeah, they did say what it was, but I'm just asking, like, as you were reading it, what did you think it was going to be? Like,
I mean, I thought it was just because like she was always there for her. Like, I,
it was
now I don't even remember what
specifically
it was though.
it was it was specifically when Frankie found out she was pregnant. She told her friends, and her friends put her in a cab and like didn't judge her and just let her go, and basically
Mm-hmm.
like said they'll say whatever they need to say to Ezra. um, they just
Mm-hmm.
made space for her
Mm-hmm.
to be in the moment that she was in, and for her to leave the situation.
Yeah.
And
I
like
just
and
thought it was like because she was.
the
Go
big
ahead.
thing was that she was so hurt by Ezra's expectations, and the fact that he didn't ask her what she wanted, and her friend did. Her friend said, "What is it that you want
Mm-hmm.
right now? What can I do for you right now?" And that's why she valued that so much, because her friend was the only person that stopped to say, "What does Frankie want?"
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why she felt like she had to be with the guy.
Yeah. That's a good reason.
But I mean, did you think there was going to be a pregnancy in this?
No, like I didn't think it was going to be that big of a thing.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a surprise. I listen, everybody gets to make their own decisions and live their lives how they want to. But I guess like knowing that Frankie loved Ezra so much, like I don't know, I can understand why Ezra would be totally heartbroken that she didn't want to have a kid.
Yeah, but I can see that, but I can also see like she was thrust into this situation so suddenly. You're still finishing up college. I mean, it it wouldn't be fair of him to expect that of her all of a sudden.
It was just a tough situation. But how do you feel about the ending? Like, how do you
Overall,
feel about the
I thought
fact
it
that like
kind of
he was literally just about to propose to Mimi, and then not only does he not do that, but then he gets back together with his girlfriend who he's hated for like 10 years, his ex-girlfriend.
I mean, good. They just spent the past 24 hours trying to figure out why they couldn't remember anything.
I wish I had seen a little bit more of them together and not just like
Mm-hmm.
the epilogue.
Yeah, there are some books for me like that, like where I'm like, I need a little bit more. I need to see maybe like a novella or something, like a short story in the future. Like that book we finished yesterday, The Summer of Broken Rules. I'm like, why is this epilogue 15 pages?
I don't want to talk about that book.
Unnecessary.
I'm disappointed in that book. I wanted
And you
more
bought a
from the
copy of it?
summer. I did. I sure did. Because someone was like, this was so good. And there were so many Taylor Swift references. I'm like, hell yeah. I bought it. But I
You were
also
too
like,
committed.
yeah, like a dum dum, I thought it was an adult romance. I might have given it a second thought if they were like, this is YA. But I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the book now. But do we have final thoughts on the rewind? We didn't really
overall,
like.
I enjoyed it.
Why did we think it was going to be time travel? Just because like rewind?
It sounded like it was going to be time travel. Oh, hold on. Okay, maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Book of the Month made it sound like it was time travel.
Or maybe we were thinking it was time travel because it just mentioned the 90s. And so for us, it's like back in time. I don't know.
I don't know. I can't remember now.
Yeah, she's a music manager.
Well, overall, I gave it 4 stars. And I briefly looked at this author's 2024 release. And I'm going to look more into that, but it does sound interesting too. So I might also pick that up. 4 stars.
Okay. It gets a 5-star for me. There was like 0 smut, but there was lots of emotions. There was lots of emotions and mystery and like nostalgia and funny moments. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I will definitely be looking into not just her 2024 release, but I'll look to see whatever other books this author has written. For our fourth quarter, we are going to be reading, what's the name of it? Chloe, you have the book.
Love with Mothman by Paige Lavoie.
I'm in Love with Mothman by Paige Lavoie, and we are going to be discussing it on November 5th. Sunday, November 5th at 6 p.m. And we're going to be joined by Allie from Hardback Hoarder. So, is it going to be the first time we have a guest? I think so, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's something that we had kind of discussed doing in the beginning, but we tried it once and I messed up. I messed up time zones really bad, so it didn't work out. But you may see us with guests in the future. So definitely in November with Allie. So Allie's super excited because she said she's really into Mothman stuff, so she's excited to read it. So
I feel like this is going to give me all the fall cozy vibes that I need. Like I'm ready for fall.
I have no idea what to expect, but I think it'll be fun, and I'm sure our discussion will be fun. So
it's only like 250 pages.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. I'll take my time with it then, so I don't finish it like a month beforehand, and then forget things because that would suck. But all right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we will see you next quarter to discuss I'm in Love with Mothman by Paige Lavoie. So thanks for being here.